Hi everyone, welcome to this week's NAOL review. This week again, I'll be reviewing three single-digit Q games. And first up, we have a game between Paul, who's black, and another a 3K. So let's see. Paul, is there a part of the game that you want me to go to? I see at the end there's some tragic capturing. Otherwise, I'll just start from the beginning and see what I find interesting. And at any point, feel free to just chime in with questions or comments. All right, great, cool. So pretty normal opening. Just give you a few opening ideas. This is like just all preference. You played here. Other possibilities, of course, if you play towards a corner, any of these, and then if you want to take the 3-3 here, that will also be very common. Okay, so this is good opening so far. Yeah, that's good. You prevent white from going to the corner and then do a pincer. That's a good idea. Now white reverse pincer, so now there's a fight is inevitable down here. You do start with more stones, so I think overall black is not afraid to fight here. I think the first mistake here, fight white, is disattach and cut. The problem with this is it's too direct. So black doesn't really have a lot of options here. Like what you did in the game is pretty much what the only thing black can do. I will only say maybe you want to target here once at some point and then come back. So you see white has an empty triangle shape and you make your territory a little bigger. So this trade should be better for black just because white lost a stone here. So overall, white will need to spend another move. And black has Sente. And black, of course, got a lot more points. So you actually captured the stone. So let's see this result. Talk about this result a little more. I think many players will struggle to determine if this is good for white or black. I think the rule of thumb is if you can remove a stone from your opponent's territory, or if you lose a stone inside your opponent's territory, that's a huge loss. So for here, like this stone, losing this stone is a huge loss for white because you basically white spend a move only for it to become useless. Black's stone also got captured here, but it's blunted by the fact that white spent another move at 4 to capture it. So black lost some points, but black didn't really lose the whole move. If that makes sense. So in the bottom shape, if I don't know if we can, let's see. So if we just change the order a little bit, it's somewhat similar to this shape, minus a few bad exchanges. It's somewhat similar to this shape, but then white basically lost a stone in here. Right, then we can see it's kind of a silly exchange. So black got and then white played an extra move here. It's in effect is very similar to this, and black didn't have to move at 6, actually. So conceptually, this is good for black. And where should white play? I think such a direct attack doesn't work. If you want to do something like this, white better make sure that black can kill black. Or on the other hand, maybe white is so desperate that this is the only thing white can do. Then, of course, there are no other options. But right now, really, the situation is not that dire. All white needs to do is to escape normally. So something like this will be possible. If white wants to be more aggressive, white can actually try to take away black space here. So if we chase out toward the center, maybe white can, for example, put pressure on this group before saving the bottom left. This will be an aggressive type of playstyle, but it's playable, I think. And if white wants to play more stable, then I think just running toward the center would be reasonable as well. So here, losing this stone is a big loss. White should not have Tanuki here. Okay, so right, so you took advantage of white's weakness, and now white's really in trouble. Because black already got almost 20 points in the bottom, black is thick, white doesn't have eyes, and white is also separated. So this game is now in really dire situation for white. Is that cut premature? Okay, it's a good question. So this it revolves around value judgment. I think I'll give you a few perspectives. The one thing is, can white sacrifice either group? And I think the answer here is no, because it's too big. Like both groups are, this is what we'll call heavy groups, groups that you cannot sacrifice. So you have a reason to attack because they're weak and white cannot sacrifice them. So of course, Tanuki is not a good option for white. So the second question is, can you get a good result? Can you profit from it? And I think if we just move a few moves, go forward a little bit, you can see black did profit from it. So white might have a little bit of potential, but with your cut, you erase everything. And of course, you strengthen the corner, right? Now, the 3-3 algae is a little bit, somewhat alleviated. It's not easy for white to invade the corner. And of course, you can cut here or do further attack here. And white didn't get anything of value. So the center is now more or less within black's sphere influence. So going back to your question, I think cutting here is a good move. And actually, I think white is most likely better off connecting here and just letting you take everything. As bad as this looks. So this type of cut is very different because you separate your opponent group into two halves that are both really big, and it essentially destroys white's thickness. In other cases, if you do a push cut and you're only capturing one stone on the side, and it's not even worth that many points, then maybe it's worth waiting to do the cut. But here, the thickness and life and death are at stake. So your push cut is not premature at all. And judging from how the game turned out, I think this basically won you the game. Right, so you continue to attack, that's good. Okay, here actually I pointed out this move as a white's weakness because you can still separate white. But it's actually a little bit premature. And the reason of that you already alluded to, because capturing this stone is not very big by itself. And your group is also not in huge danger. So there's just no rush to kill this stone. Your focus should be on the whole group. For example, maybe you Hane here, put pressure on this entire white group. Or other possibility, maybe, for example, you can maybe attack the corner or just maybe put more pressure toward the center. So you can give white the corner, let's say, and then really try to attack the center. And notice because white has a lot of stones on the third line, you have a lot of forcing moves on the fourth line. Okay, so for example, you've probably seen moves like this. Maybe 7 is not necessarily sente, but you can kind of seal white in. And there are other possibilities, for example, this move. And because you basically like A and B and C, these are all sente, it's not hard for black to literally just seal off this side and make connection that way. And if black can cut white off from the left, then white center group is really isolated. So if we know about these hidden exchanges, then capturing this one stone is really not that urgent. So conceptually, just know where you can get help. Here is a kind of a confusing fight. Involves a lot of reading. But one approach I'll offer you is sometimes even if you can separate your opponent, you can just let them connect. Because a lot of these connecting moves are gote. and gote and dame move. So let's say you play here, white plays here, and then you like, for example, you make some sente moves here, and then expand to the top. So white's two moves are not super valuable, and there's still weakness along here and here. So white didn't gain anything of value, but you also made a valuable extension toward the center. Now you control this stone, and then you have influence in the top. And once you play moves, let's say around here, this is still sente. So even though you allow white to escape, you have profited from attacking this group in many ways. So long story short, a big important strategy in attacking is to force your opponent to play dame moves. So if you can play a move with value and you force your opponent to play inefficient moves to defend, then that's a pretty safe way to just continue to snowball your lead. Your more aggressive play is maybe fine, but if you want to play a simpler way and still just really firmly control the game, I will recommend you something like this. And this is definitely a move of value, because now your group is completely settled. Even if white somehow lives, you can still profit on the side. So that takes pressure off of you a little bit. In this type of fight, if somehow you mess up later, the game can be turned around instantly. So notice your bottom group also suffer a little bit. So now white actually has an option to separate black. Of course, the fight still favors black, but there's more variation and more risk. All right, so both sides have some liberty shortage. Okay. I think this move could be white's losing move. Because white is really in a bad situation here. This group is in trouble. The center 4 stones are almost dead, and then plus this whole group. But actually black has some uncertain areas too. For example, if this group survives, then black's center is really not that strong. Or if whites can find a time to cut black. Neither group is alive actually. So white should find a chance to take the initiative and start a fight here. White cannot, just passively connect everything. If black can protect the bottom while capturing the center, the game is very hopeless for white. So this is too passive of a move. White needs to do something more aggressive. At least block here, or try to save the center. Or another option, honestly. Like your move to avoid it. Right. Another option for white actually is to defend here. And this creates a miai of blocking at A and then potentially moving out at B. So I think the game is still difficult for white, but this will give white more of a fighting chance. And then I expect black will probably try to connect down here, and then white can make a final gamble in the center fight. As far as the left side is concerned, white has some issue here, but if white can somehow get the center, then maybe sacrificing the bottom left is a possibility. Though this will complicate the game versus just kind of roll over and lose, as in kind of this example. Here, I'm not sure whether you really need to attack the corner like this. Maybe you read out everything, but conceptually, if you just fall back and take the center, let white live, and then capture everything, this is more than a good enough result. If you attack the corner and white's place here, then you're also left with 2 weaknesses, right? You have this move, this weakness, and then another weakness in the center. So something to consider. Maybe you're very confident that you can just kill the corner or something, but just be aware that you also have things to worry about. And if white blocks here, white already spent a move here. So your out toward the center is not super clear right now. So white blocking here for white is very powerful. You don't really have time to continue to attack the corner because your big group doesn't have two eyes yet. So when a couple of exchanges, the game can also instantly be reversed if you make a mistake in settling the big group. Right, belligerently attacking. Okay, so yeah, I really like how Sean Ray also teaches students to first look for your own weakness and then look for your opponent's weakness and then thinking about points. Here you already have a good amount of points, but of course the first priority is thinking about your own weakness, which will be this connection weakness here. And if you, as long as black finds the time to fix it, I think if you can capture these 3 stones, it will be the same as fixing the bottom, because if this group is alive, it's not as hard to only save this group because you have Sente moves here. But if you just play the most simple, just to connect, I think that would be the safest way for sure. So now you're connected, white's corner is still weak, you still have the initiative in the center. And notice even the left side is still not completely safe for white yet. So sometimes if you play one defensive move, that will actually open up a lot of attacks later. So you're aiming at 3 moves and 3 attacks, right? Like let's say you can kill the 3 stone, you can kill the center, you can attack the left. And of course white doesn't have time to fix all 3. And because you eliminated all the weakness with 1 move, white cannot leverage any of your weakness. Yeah, so here basically white just has some breeding issues, and ultimately a lot of groups died. Just something to point out before I move on to the next game. This Atari, is it necessary? I think it's good practice just to avoid playing moves like this. Because it's basically like passing. Even though you're probably winning by 30, 40 points, that's not a good habit to have. Just pointing that out. And of course, this move is probably not that important. And looking at the bottom right, is it alive or dead? Other observers, you can also chime in. So if the corner is alive, then what's the point of connecting here, right? It will be an endgame move. Maybe you thought it's Sente. So it actually is Sente, and white Tenuki, and you also Tenuki. But did you see the problem with the corner? How should black kill this corner? T2, okay. So let me simplify the situation. This push is Sente basically, so we can just play it. There are 2 options in this type of shape. You pointed out T2 is one shape and R4 is another. And actually in some situations they're interchangeable, but not here. In this case only B works, A does not work, and then you'll see why. If you play here, locally white doesn't have enough space. This is a 3, bend 3 is dead. It doesn't really matter what happens. But white can actually play here. And you notice there's a liberty shortage. Of course, what black cannot connect anymore. There's a liberty shortage. So whenever there's a liberty shortage, you can only play from taking away the eye. And now, of course, even capturing 2 stones is a fake eye. So this type of shade, very important to know. A lot of people forget that you can this is actually dead. And a lot of people will play the wrong move to kill it. So push and then peep. This is the only way to kill it. And with that, I'll move on to the second game. If we have time, we can come back here for further questions. Yeah, thanks all. Cool, Andy. Okay. If people have questions about specific aspect of the game, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just kind of go in sequence. Okay, so 2 standard Joseki in the corner. It's shaping up to be a pretty peaceful game without big moyo or anything. Nothing complicated. This jump is not technically necessary. I think black can also consider tenuki. If white bumps here, black can actually extend up. It might be a slightly more complicated shape. But the idea is black can sacrifice these 2 stones. So yeah, white did get sente, but also the bottom stones weakened. So maybe white needs to reinforce. And black's shape is still relatively okay. So this 2 move is big, but not 100% sente. So black can also consider tenuki. Yeah, so if black didn't sacrifice the 2 stones, then white can potentially make seal from above. So black got gain points in the bottom, relatively speaking, but now white has a strong center influence. In this case, I would recommend black to just sacrifice the 2 stones. So this shape is good to remember, that this extension up is an option as well. Okay, so white tries to reduce the corners, pretty typical. Okay, so this peep is a bad habit. Maybe white doesn't want black to connect underneath, but it really just strengthens black. And in this shape, white is just in no position to attack. It's more of a mutual fight. So in mutual fighting, you don't really care if your opponent connect underneath. This type of move only matters if black is in danger. But black is not in danger. Black can just always escape out. So black will never want to play this type of move. I guess another way to put it is, this exchange is a bad exchange locally. So because white played an inefficient move here, and then normally white would rather probably peep from the other side. So white is taking a local loss. So there better be a reason to do this. And the normal usual reason is white really wants to separate black to attack severely. But right now, that's not really possible. So this peep is not necessary. And in this type of shape, if black connects, plays 4, the best move forward, the best response will most likely tenuki. Because there's still some bad aji, but there's no reason to play it right away. So white just play normally. Eventually, black will have to play another move to connect. And notice black spent 2 moves to get maybe 6 points. So connecting at 4 and 6 are not that big. They're only big in the context of saving black's group. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so here both sides play some moves on the right. And then black got sente. I think now white is in a little bit of trouble because this whole group is unaccounted for. I'm not sure why black peep from here to give white a good tiger smile shape. Definitely peep on this direction is correct. And then black can probably jump. So white's entire group is not alive. This will be the proper shape to attack. So maybe white plays something over here, and then black can think about further attacking the center. So white has some liberty shortage issues. And black only has 1 unsettled group versus white has 2. So this fight should favor black. Okay, so black peep, extend, block. Extending here is an important move to take away white's eyes, even though it's not locally indicated for the group's life and death. But I wonder right now if it's really that important versus, let's say, cutting off this group. Because it's not immediately sente. And locally, even if black tenuki, there's not a great move for white though. So white can hane connect or Hane Tiger's Mouth, or maybe Hane Atari, Atari Tiger's Mouth. But in either case, this is all Gote against the corner. So I don't think there's really a rush to settle here. So shape-wise, black should jump. This is a better shape than Hane because it doesn't have the obvious cut. And just shape issues too, probably this is better. So later, now there's an obvious weakness here. So invading here, I think I'll spend a little time talking about how to approach groups like this. Invading on the third line within your opponent, like trying to split your opponent, we should only think about this in the context of attacking for the most part. If black cannot attack these two groups, it's probably not even worth invading. The idea is this: if you invade, how many points are you destroying? This is 15 points. If you're only destroying 15 points, there are actually a lot of 15-point endgames, or endgame that are close to 15 points. So when you try to break away your opponent's territory, usually destroying points is not the primary goal. You have to exploit weakness or create weakness or exploit the Aji. So knowing that, oftentimes it's actually better to play on the force line. For example, the shoulder hit. It also serves as a reduction, but it doesn't create a weak group for black. At least not as weak of a group. So if white tries to protect the territory, now black can cut in the center. So this had life and thickness implications. Oh, but the other thing I need to point out is actually white might have a connection, Sente connection here, which will also change how thick the white group is. If black Tenuki, white can cut here, so this is a problem. So if we treat the connection as a Sente, this invasion is almost like suicide. I'm not sure if what black can survive if white just seal black off like this. So I think shoulder hit is more appropriate. It's not easy for white to connect underneath because there's a cut. There's a cut here, right? So if white can only resort to the second line Keima, then I think it's a very successful reduction for black. Most likely, honestly, white wouldn't even bother connecting. White would try to fight in the center. And if white is not even trying to connect, then there's no reason for black to play so deep. So this will give black more wiggle room in the center versus this move. Okay, there's a series of exchanges and then it turns out to be a trade. I think the main thing for white is white lost an opportunity to kind of close the deal. If white connect here, I think it will be hard for black to save anything. At least, in the very least, this group won't die. So in the game, I think white gave black another chance to play out the game. In fighting like this, it's important to really take your time and evaluate the position. Sometimes if you play one move a little bit too slack, you might just miss your only chance to seal the deal and end the game. This wedge is a sharp move. So notice when you have a bunch of one space jump, the wedge could become a weakness later on, especially if your opponent has stone on both sides. So this also shows why the earlier exchange here is really bad. Without these exchanges, first of all, white will have more Aji locally, and second of all, white wouldn't lose as many points because there will be Sente moves at C or D. So playing the A peep exchange makes white shape very heavy. So cut, this is also a very interesting exchange. Huh. Of course, black could just sacrifice one stone, like just play here directly. If white takes, then black can attack the left group. And maybe white can't even afford to tenuki. White might have to defend. And then black can fight more effectively in the center. Or play the game move. I think this will be much more favorable. Like fight this way. So here I'll point out some endgame issues before switching to the last game. Something to note is white's group is actually not alive, like this whole group. Maybe that's what's maybe confusing black's play, because if black Atari the locally, this will become a ko. So in the game, black captured the bottom, but white lived. I think black could have played here, but white is still alive locally. So maybe white misread something and didn't see that there is possible to live. But in either case, black made some strange moves. Like for example, this move. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If black is worried about the first line Hane, black can actually just descend first, and there wouldn't be an issue. Okay, let's see if there's anything interesting later. So white won by 10. So it looks like white more or less just held the earlier lead, even though white lost a bit in the bottom. And white gained a bit by getting the upper territory as well. So it looks like here was a really important opportunity for black to not sacrifice that stone so easily. Black actually saw all the right exchange sente moves, but it wasn't playing the correct order. So it gave white you basically played out the exchanges before exploiting the aji. If black reversed the order, then the fight in the center would be very different. Okay, with that, I'll move on to the last game. Okay, interesting move here. And in the opening, it really doesn't matter. We can play moves that we enjoy. So, but, I mean, white's exchange here is also, I think, somewhat atypical. Maybe just expanding to the side, or if white wants to play, this is potentially an option. This move is perhaps even more exotic. Generally, we wouldn't recommend moves like this because it loses a lot of points on the side, and it's only used when the left's moyo is really big. But right now, it's also not that significant, so I would just prefer a more normal move. Actually, it would be pretty big for black to extend here earlier too, because that weakens white shape and is most likely a sente move. And later that gives black even more forcing moves around here, versus giving white the tiger's mouth. I wonder what will happen if black Tenuki. So if white kills, what's the situation with this corner? It looks like white is either dead or almost dead. And if the two corners become a trade, it almost looks like black killed more. Because black only lost 2 stones and white lost 3. And there are a lot more points in the upper left. So maybe black can consider a Tenuki. And maybe white should have just made another push. So at this point, I think it's pretty clear white got a slight advantage. Because the white's corner is fine, and then black didn't really have a moyo to speak of on the left. Okay, so here is, I think a lot of single-digit Q players will make mistakes like this. This is where, in a local fight, your shape becomes broken. So, yeah. So now, what's the purpose of this move? It now becomes completely useless. So no matter what, white has to block here, even if one side were to die. But it's actually pretty hard for black to kill everything because one white blocks here, black also has some weaknesses. So for example, white just connect, right? Take care of your weakness first, and then you can aim to attack your opponent. If black attack in the center, now moves like this will become powerful. Right, maybe hopefully we have all learned this Tetsuji, this crosscut. Notice the center 2 stones are already captured, no matter what black plays. So white had the right idea to play moves to play this attachment, but it has to be preceded by blocking in the center. And if we go back a little more, if white is not prepared to play this fight, then this jump is just an overplay. White doesn't need to jump here right now. Black also just Tenuki. So if black really want to attack, black would have attacked right now. So I think the trend of thought is not very clear for white. It's unclear what white's plan is. So white separated black here to maybe try to recuperate the loss. But the problem is white needs another move in the corner. So in effect, white spent a move to cut black. And now if black still is able to survive, then what's the point of the cut? It's important to note that if you separate 2 groups that are alive, it's worth exactly 0 points. That's what we'll call a dame move. And it will make your group even heavier. So when white tries to start this fight, white should make sure that either side of this will become a weak group at least. But it looks like that can't happen because white needs to fix in the corner. So unless white can fix in Sente, like for example, if somehow this if this fixes a corner, for example, and maybe this will become a stronger attack. But right now it's just hard because maybe black and wedge here. It looks like there's still some liberty issues. So no matter what, black can get Sente to play here. So it's rather boring for white because white's not alive and black is safe everywhere. Okay, so black tried to make an efficient move now to kill even the stone on the side. So white is really in trouble here. Okay. So in this exciting twist of events, black is up by 1 liberty, exactly 1 liberty. But I think black made a mistake in the capturing race by allowing white to play the wedge. I think if black plays here, it wouldn't be so close. And also, black can just escape. So there's no reason to play the capturing race. If black separate white from the outside, then it doesn't really matter what happens on the inside. I think if black play like this, the game will be pretty hopeless for white. Because white spend like a dozen moves on the left and almost everything is dead. So strategic mistake from black, and now all of a sudden, actually the game is playable for white. It looks like black killed a lot, but ultimately it's only 6 stones worth 12 points. And white got some endgame benefits. And with capturing 1 stone in the center, white's group is more or less alive. So now the territory balance is not even really in white's favor, black's favor. White can either protect a corner or more aggressively try to split off this group. Whenever you capture a group and you need to fill in liberty, the value of the capture becomes greatly reduced. So that's something to keep in mind. So white started off with a big disadvantage, but because white captured a stone and basically made a live shape, white actually turned the game around. So it's a small detail here, but I think white should just make this exchange. Because later it's possible that black will attack here and capture to destroy the eye. So you should deny your opponent that chance. So I would suggest white just to make these exchanges. And from black's perspective, if you Atari here, you should definitely Atari here and try to at least win this ko and then destroy white's eye. Otherwise, Ataring here just becomes a bad shape. It just helps white make 2 eyes, as in the game. Okay, so a few exchanges later, black played here. I think it's better if black plays closer to the corner. But the learning point here, I think, is this invasion. So looking on the right side, there are 3 possible areas to invade. 1 is a corner, 2 is this side, and then 3 is the game there. And judging from the value, actually A is bigger than B and B is bigger than C, because the most important difference is that white can jump in here anytime. So it's really not valuable for black to make play moves on this side, because the bottom isn't even territory yet. And we know the proverb, the corner is gold, so anything close to the corner will be the most valuable, all else being equal. And right now there isn't anything notable on the outside because everyone's alive. So in terms of points, honestly taking the corner will be the best. So like a straightforward 3-3, I think it's the simplest solution. Here, white has to worry about creating a weak group. Okay, so black Tanuki, I think is a good strategy, because let's say white spends another move here or here. These are all basically dominant moves. Black can just profit elsewhere. So notice white destroyed 10 points, but black just transferred that potential to the bottom. So black has an even better position than before. Okay, playing the 3-2 here is a very aggressive move to try to control the corner and the side at the same time. It's a good idea. Like, the thought is good, but it may not have the best desired effect. A more normal looking move will be maybe something like this to also take care of the side. This move, the reason it's risky is because it's completely isolating the corner. So if somehow white takes away the side later, playing a 3-3 is not very efficient. Or if, let's say, white reduces from the center, then the 3-3 move could become low efficiency as well. But overall, if black prevented white from taking the 3-3, so the result is not bad for black. I would recommend white to maybe still take the 3-3 right now, unless Actually, this is also important to think about. So white is definitely afraid that black will invade. It's valid. If black invade, there's no good way for this to connect back to the corner. But um, actually, it's also possible for white to sacrifice this stone. If we become more flexible in our thinking, we'll just see, is this side bigger or is this corner bigger? And we determine that the corner is bigger. It actually doesn't matter that white started out with one extension. And we can just treat it as a beneficial exchange. So this stone is actually expandable. Just conceptually, I think it will be important to understand. This stone for white is expandable. So let's see. So maybe black will get a sente shape in the corner and then invade. And then white will try to settle. Let's say something like this. It might be an okay trade for white because the corner is so much bigger than the side. Or in this case, let's say white just live in the corner, black jumps, and then if white is very good at invading, white can just continue to take points and then wait to invade the bottom. So notice black did get a lot of territory, but white profited in both corners. It's unclear if this is really a good trade for black. And then there's still some aji. And in some situation, maybe white will even get sente, right? If black played a normal joseki, then white got sente, and then now white can come back to defend. So the pressure is actually on black to make sure that the attack will result in something, very tangible gains. Okay, so white invaded. And then the other similar idea for invading the right side, right? This stone is actually expandable, and same with this stone. White just has to make sure overall black's territory on the right is minimized. But white is not. White doesn't have to save everything. This type of kosumi is generally not good. The reason being it doesn't create any eye shape, and it doesn't create any weakness for black. So it's kind of middle of nowhere. White is usually better off playing the push or maybe jumping here to make two eye locally, or maybe Keima. This is a faster way to run into the center. The Kosumi does neither, and it just doesn't put enough pressure on black. So here is also maybe not the most direct move. I think black can play something like this, or maybe something more direct, just keep playing the Kosumi. It's still hard for white to escape. So here, the life and death issue. Playing here will have a better chance of killing white. But even in the game, the problem is not that white is alive. It's okay for white to save part of it. The problem is this peep. I am most certainly sure that black read that white is alive. I find it hard to believe for 4K to not see this move. I think it's probably more driven by maybe impulsiveness or just rage, or it could be some sort of like emotional control during the game. There's no reason to waste a move like this. And as we play more games and improve, like this type of I guess mental stability is very important. I think black lost control here by playing this peep. It's definitely not a reading or skill issue. Right, and later black even played another move at 08. So at this point, nobody would really suggest black to play this move. So black basically almost like passed in the crucial part of the game. Anything else would be better. Black can just block here or do something else. There's no reason to waste a move. So I think I'll end with discussing this bump. Black's probably aiming to cut here, but it's a strategic mistake, I think, because cutting off the 2 stones is really not that big. If you want to kill something that your opponent can sacrifice, you should think twice about it. And right now, I think white will be happy just to sacrifice that. It's only maybe 10 points. That's probably as good of a result as white can get. So don't attack something your opponent can sacrifice. In this case, black should attack the whole thing. And notice white actually has a backdoor on the second line. So a lot of the, at least this stone can survive. So black doesn't really want to just capture 1 stone. The only way to make this attack worthwhile is if white has a lot of stones here. So then white has a heavy tail and can no longer consider the backdoor route, because by jumping here, white will lose connection to the center stone. So if white plays a more exchange in the center, this part could become heavy, right? So if we go back to the move, is this jump really necessary if white can make this exchange? Maybe white is better off playing from the center and then jump. Black barely has 10 points. If you save a stone that you can sacrifice, then it's not that valuable. Excuse me. So saving a stone like this actually just gives your opponent a chance to counterattack. I think it's an overplay and it's unnecessary and not very valuable. So with this, I think I'll end my review here. Does anyone have questions about this game or other games? Okay, if not, I'll just end the recording here.